So there was some shade thrown at Desmond Ritter yesterday. So Steve Smith, the former Panthers wide receiver, who obviously played in the division with the Atlanta Falcons, he's got his, I guess, cut to it podcast that he does. Everybody's got a podcast in life, right? So he had Green Bay Packers rookie wide receiver Jaden Reed on his show. And Jaden Reed had talked about the idea of when the Falcons were picking in the second round that there was potential that they were interested in Jaden Reed in selecting him. And ultimately, Carolina picked him out. I think it was pick number 50 or something like that. So he fell a little bit, past the Falcons or whatever like that. And he ended up hooking up with the Panthers. And here's what Steve Smith had to say about the Falcons quarterback situation and Desmond Ritter. Quote, I can tell you right now with the Atlanta Falcons, they ain't got no quarterback right now. You dodged a bullet on that. To which Jaden Reed said, oh, yeah, that's true. Again, I think it was just probably, in all honesty, probably just kind of agreeing, and I don't think he has any angst about Desmond Ritter or whatever like that, but certainly sounds like Steve Smith has a little bit of angst about Desmond Ritter. And I understand. Look, again, people are kind of blasting Steve Smith about, Ritter did it. I get it. Ritter's not established himself. I like Desmond Ritter. He's my favorite draft pick last year. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. That's me. And part of that's homering, right? Part of that's being a homer for Desmond Ritter. But again, I think he did some good things. But if Steve Smith doesn't think that he's going to be a good quarterback or a competent quarterback, again, we didn't get a chance to draft Bryce Young. We didn't have the number one pick in the draft to be able to go get a quarterback. We didn't have that. We took Desmond Ritter in the third round of last year's draft. So again, it is kind of funny, when you read his comment about they ain't got no quarterback. Maybe we'll see after this year. I mean, I certainly think that all of the spotlight is going to be on Desmond Ritter. But the point is, though, too, he doesn't have to be the man. He doesn't. The reality is he doesn't have to be Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow. He doesn't have to be at that kind of level for the Falcons to have some success. The Falcons have their playing personality. This is why we talked about the idea of, they got to add another wide receiver. Why? They've got plenty of pass catchers. For what they do and what they're going to do offensively, they've got plenty of people that can catch the football. That's not what their problem is. Their problem isn't going to be, we just need more guys to catch the football. No, they're not going to throw it, a whole crap ton. They're not going to drop him back 600 times like they do Matt Ryan. They're not going to do all that. So again, I'm not surprised that Steve Smith said what he said. Maybe that's a little bit of not just shade at Desmond Ritter, but shade at the Falcons organization. I mean, look, here's the reality. Everything that the Falcons planned on for their quarterback succession plan blew up in their face. It all blew up. Whether it was going after Deshaun Watson, that blew up in their face. Whether it was, we're going to ride Matt for 1 more year, that blew up in their face. Whether it was, bringing in Marcus Mariota to bridge, that blew up in their face. So everything they've done is blown up in their face. And hopefully Desmond Ritter can anchor this thing and keep, the collective and just kind of calm everything down and show that he's a competent quarterback. Again, he doesn't have to be the MVP of the league. He doesn't have to go crazy. If he's just an above average or slightly above average quarterback, Falcons can have success because the way their offense runs and what their playing personality is, it doesn't all rely on what the quarterback has to do. Now, look, if he does ball out, then we're going to have a separate discussion about how far can we go. But if he's just a little bit above average at quarterback, Falcons can win games. They're playing a last place schedule. There's not a lot of good teams on their schedule. Their playing personalities to run the football. It's to go behind that right side of that offensive line and run to glory. That's their playing personality. So unlike where Bryce Young, who's the first overall draft pick, is going to have a massive amount of expectation on him, I like the fact that people are underselling Ritter. I like the fact that people aren't on the Desmond Ritter bandwagon. Good. Good. I'm excited. That's exactly what I want to hear. I don't want to have people, all hyping up Desmond Ritter and different things like this. I want him to kind of be under the radar, just go out and do his thing. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, just go out and do your thing. The kid's a winner. He's proven that he's a winner. I like his football IQ. I saw him grow. I mean, again, I promised all of us watched more snaps of Desmond Ritter than what Steve Smith did. Steve Smith picks up the box score, and looks and says, he was only this or that or whatever like that. No. If you saw Desmond Ritter play those last 4 weeks, you saw him get better and better each and every week. Now, has he still got a lot to learn? Absolutely. He's still got a lot to learn. No doubt about it. He's still got a long way to go. But again, you could talk about his level of competition and all these other different kinds of things that were out there. But the idea is that this kid's a winner. And he did play Alabama and Georgia and Notre Dame and Ohio State. And he played top tier programs. And he was exposed to all of those guys. And through it all, they had a really successful, stint for the Cincinnati Bearcats. And they were one of the surprise teams in all of college football, finding their way in as a group of 5 to the college football playoff. Nobody expected those kinds of things. And Desmond Ritter was the trigger man for all of that. So I've got expectations for Desmond Ritter. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the MVP of the league or any sort of thing like that. But if he can be above average and he can find a way to just lead this offense and they can be great in the red zone, we'll win plenty of football games. He won't be, I don't think Desmond Ritter at the end of the day is going to be the reason that our season goes sideways. If we don't have a good season like we think it's going to be, I don't think Desmond Ritter is going to be the point of all of that. All right, as you listen into Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, make sure you go into whatever podcast platform that you're listening on and leave us a comment that you're an everyday listener to the program. So we thank you so much for being a part of our ever-growing community. But let us know that you're, as we say, an everydayer to the show, that you listen in 5 days a week with us. So we thank you so much for being a part of the journey. And obviously, we hope you continue to listen.